Hey everyone, welcome back to Stormworks Build and Rescue. This time we are going to be going over several tips and tricks to get you started in game. Sort of like a beginner's guide, several things that help me out getting this game going that I wish I knew, and hopefully I can help you guys out with. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, for the first tip here, if you have something in your hands and you want to get rid of it and you don't have a storage unit for it, the easiest thing for you to do is go ahead and hit Backspace. It is the simplest way to get something out of your hands, and you can re-pick it back up with a simple E or Q. Just a Backspace to get rid of it. This also works for any of the items in your inventory. Backspace, as well as your clothing outfits. You can only have one of those, so it kind of sucks. You gotta need some space. Just dump it on the floor, and then you can pick it all back up. All right, the second one that we see is using the home key. The home key will actually give us no clip and allow us to fly around anywhere in our world, even underneath the world. If you notice, our character is still there. Our character stays in the same spot until we hit the home key again. And then once we hit the home key, it will drop our character in that spot. Now, if you do have damage on, your character will take damage from high falls, but you can turn that off in the custom menu. All right, so next up we have data labels. I'm currently on our engine tutorial here that we did a couple episodes back. As you can see, it just kind of tells you fluid tank, radiator, fluid port, gearbox, clutch. But if you hold page up, you can get a lot more information out of this. And this helps out kind of a bit when you're trying to troubleshoot. You can figure out what's going on without having to go in and actually look at each individual item or put dials on the items. Now, this does go away when you hit page up. So in order to keep this, we need to go in our settings, come over to general. We want tooltip detailed, and you can have it on permanently. Sometimes you guys don't like this. If it's just as easy to turn off all the time, but it's as simple as going back into your settings, tooltip detail, simple, or off. You don't have to see it as well. All right, so next up we have our fluid tanks. This is kind of a special one for me because it took me a while to figure out what was going on with this. But with the fluid tanks, you can pretty much guarantee that one block is going to be about 15.5 liters of fuel. So we can kind of say that this first fuel tank here is going to be, it's a 2x1, so we can pretty much double that, and at 15.5 we're looking at 31 liters for this. So if we can do our math, we can go over and we can kind of use that to kind of figure out what's going on here. And the actual number is like 15.67, so we do get some rounding up. I like to round down just for safety's sake. You don't want to think you have more fuel than you do. I think the actual numbers on these are, let's see, let me do some math here. Crunch 31.25 liters for the small tank. We're looking at 187.5 for the medium tank, and we are looking at a 705 liters for the large tank. And now you can make custom tanks and you can get any size tanks you want, but if you want to use that math, that 15.67, 15.5 to do your conversions, you can kind of figure out exactly how much fuel you're actually going to have. But this was a bonus for me. I enjoyed this one. This one helped me out a whole lot in trying to figure out how much fuel I needed to take, especially when you're trying to figure out your dials and you're trying to connect things. I know now if I hook up a dial to this large tank, I can go ahead and set that dial for 705, and I know that that's about what a tank will fill up to. All right, moving on. All right, so we're back in our workbench here. Let's go ahead and go over a couple of the other ones here. One of the first ones I enjoy is something like, click and drag. It's quite easy, and it really helps out your builds in a lot of ways. So if I can get this turned around the right way, you'll see what I'm talking about. Hold and drag. There we go. And you can see we actually have a plane here that we can work off of. So that drag it one way. All right, and we can also drag it up, and you can do things like that, which also helps because it automatically flips the piece around, which is really nice. And this works for all of our angled pieces. So if you wanted to use this on a 4x1, you can drag it that way, and you can drag it up. And this is really nice. If you're using something like your inverse pieces here, it will automatically pick the opposite block that it needs, which is really nice, instead of just dragging and maybe dropping like all of those. You see what I'm saying? It actually drags the opposite inverse piece, which is really nice. It helps and speeds up your builds. Okay, so we've got all these pieces here. So let's say that we're actually sitting on the square block, and I don't have my inventory set up here at the bottom, and I want this block. Easiest thing to do, hold control and click on that block, and now we are in that block. We can come over here and choose this block. We can choose this block, that block. It doesn't matter. As long as you're holding control, you can hit any of those blocks. So from here, we can actually talk about Control Z. If we made a mistake, we can just Control Z and go back instead of up here using the undo button. It speeds things up a whole lot. So we can come all the way back and we're back at our start again. Okay, next up, I brought my engine tutorial back out here to explain data labels and stuff. And you can see how we do have some errors here. And a lot of times it doesn't tell you what it is. It's really hard to figure out what's going on. But the easiest thing to do is to take an empty block and just place it on that block. And it will tell you what's missing. So we're missing an on-off signal from this. And that just tells me that we need to hook up our seat and that will back up and show us the backlights. But it works for anything. If we were missing something on our engine, if something wasn't hooked up and it was telling us wrong and we had a little error message, just pick a block, set it up against that block, and it'll give you the error message. Next up, we're gonna do some cut and paste. So we're gonna go ahead and go our cut and paste here. And the thing that we could do here is one, holding control allows you to select the items that you wanna pick up off of, which is nice. And then the other thing is holding shift allows you to make it bigger. So we're kind of getting a double one on this, guys. Holding control to select your item and then holding shift to drag your box out bigger. And now we've got our entire thing selected here with just a little bit left. See, there we go. We've got the whole thing now. So that keeps you from having to come over here and use the actual resize grid. And that's nice. You can do some actual precision with the resize grid, but that's another little tip that'll help you out when you're using cut and paste. And the final tip for me here today, guys, is one that has literally changed my life in this game. And that is coming over here and changing the camera mode to free mode. 100%, you should do this before you start your game. It will change your life. It is the biggest difference in game, being able to make large builds, to be able to fly down the screen instead of being stuck in one little area and having to use your controls to move around. So I highly recommend using free mode. Right now, the only thing we can do is use our mouse to navigate. We hold the mouse wheel, it moves us around, and that makes it really difficult to kind of make, say if you want to drag a block from here all the way down to here, you're seeing I'm having to grab. With free mode on, we can place this block and we can use our other hand to make our movements, and we can come all the way down and do something. As before, orbit mode, we were placing, dragging, moving ourselves down, placing and dragging, and so on. So free mode is the way to go. It will change your life. It will make you a better builder, and you'll be thanking me for it later. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope these tips and tricks helped you out. I know they did when I found out about them, so I wanted to share them with you. If you already know these tips and tricks, great. I hope you're doing some really good builds. If not, I hope I helped you out, and I hope you can share this video with someone else that maybe help them out. Guys, drop a like on this video, drop a comment down below if you've got any more tips and tricks that you'd like me to share, and subscribe to this channel. It helps us out a whole lot. So thanks again, guys, and we'll see you soon.